more time. All right, in the first problem, this little worksheet, and in the first problem, we have side A is 63. In side C, we have 71.5. Now it says find side B, angle A, angle B. Now, if this thing were laying down on its side, we would look at this angle right here. We would look at angle B, right? So if we're looking at angle B, then what things do we have? What things do we have? What side is this right here? Hypotenuse. Okay, so we've got hypotenuse. And we've got adjacent. So which one do we have? We have the cosine. So we can say with our calculator, second function cosine 63 divided by 71.5. And what angle would we find? 33.81 degrees. Anybody agree with that? No, I'm sorry. That's the side, isn't it? That's the side opposite. Side angle B is 28.22 degrees, right? Okay, 28.22 degrees. Now, let's find, before we go finding the other angle, so first let's plug that answer in. So B is 28.22 degrees. And if we subtract 90 degrees, if we subtract this from 90 degrees, we'll find angle A, but we want to do that secondary. We want to find side B, and side B is the side opposite of angle B. So we're looking for the opposite, and we have the hypotenuse, so we could probably use the sine of theta. So the sine of 28.2 degrees is 0.47289 in a long string of numbers that comes up in our calculator. And if we just multiply that, let's look at that. The sine of theta is 0.47289 and so on. And that's equal to, oh hell. We know one of those, don't we? We're looking for the opposite, but we know the hypotenuse. So we're going to plug in the hypotenuse, which is 71.5. Now we see that we have O over 71.3. So if we just multiply both sides by 71.3, this 71.3 will drop out. And we'll have O is equal to 71.3 times 0.47289 and on and on and on. And we should wind up with 33.81. Is that correct? Anybody agree with that? Okay. So now let's look at, everybody's got that, right? So you've found, oh, wait a minute. We've forgotten to subtract 90 degrees. So take 28.22 degrees and subtract that from 90, and we'll find 61.77 degrees for angle A. Is that, everybody agree with that? Because the two angles, A and B, have to add up to 90. Okay. So now let's do this. And let's do the next one, number 2. We have angle B up here is 58 degrees. Now we can look at this angle, but that's not the way we normally do it. But we can do that, right? That just turns this into the side opposite. And this is the side adjacent. Everybody agree with that? So we can look at it like that, right? We're not too picky about it. I mean, we would much rather look at this angle, because if this thing were flipped over so angle A were over here, that's the way we would normally look at it, right? But we can look at it from 58 degrees. And we can just look at this and go, okay, well, if we have an angle and we have a side, that sets the scale. So 58 degrees, and side C is 526. Now, we know it's straight across from the hypotenuse, from the 90 degrees, so that's got to be the hypotenuse, right? So we can use sine or cosine to find one thing or the other, right? Let's use the sine. The sine of 58 degrees, it's equal to 0.8480, and on. And that's equal to O over H, isn't it? Oh, hell. Okay, well, don't we know one of those? We know the hypotenuse. So let's take this out. And we're going to plug in the hypotenuse, which is 526. Now we can see that we would just multiply both sides by 526. Oops. And 526 times O over 526 will drop out so that we have, thank you. And you're listening to the recording later and you're going to wonder why I said thank you. Gil turned out the lights, so now, so we have O, the side opposite is equal to 0.8480 times 526. From what I hear, that's going to give us the side opposite, which is which side? Side A, side B. So that is 278.73, is that correct? Say again. Oh, side A is 278.73. So say again. Side B is 440. That's correct. So wait. How are we going to get there? How are we going to find side B? We're going to take the cosine and multiply that times the hypotenuse, and everything will drop out except the side adjacent, right? Okay, so the side adjacent is 446.07. Everybody agree with that? By the way, score this like this is a quiz, just so I can see what you did. Okay? I just need to know where you are. Okay, let's go to the next problem. Get rid of all this scribbling. What did I leave out? We didn't put something down. Angle A. Well, we take 90 degrees and we subtract, what was it? 58, so we have 32 degrees left. Okay. All right. Problem number 3. We're given angle A has a tangent of 1.2. And then we're going to say side A is 7.4. So side A is 7.4. And we're going to, as soon as they tell us that the tangent of this thing is something, we're going to say, okay, well, what angle has that tangent? We're going to say second function tangent, 1.2 inner, and it tells us immediately that it's 50.2. 50.1944291, on and on, right? Okay. So what we have now, what side do we have? What side is this? If this is our angle, angle A is our angle, and it's 50.19 degrees, what side is this over here? It's the, if we draw a line right through this angle, so this is the opposite. Okay? So if we have the opposite, and we'd kind of like to have the hypotenuse, and we would, right? we're looking for a function that has something we have, which is the side opposite, and something we're looking for, like, say, the hypotenuse. So the sine of this angle, now I've got it on my calculator, so I'm not going to waste any keystrokes. I'm just going to put in sine, second function, answer, enter. That tells me the sine of this angle is 0.76822 and on, right? And what is the sine? Oh, hell. We don't know what the hypotenuse is, but we do know the side opposite. So let's take that out. We're going to put in 7.4 over the hypotenuse is equal to 0.76. Well, we know that we can exchange these two things, right? So that we wind up with h is equal to 7.4 divided by 0.76822, on and on and on. And I have that in my calculator right now, right? That 0.76. So I'm just going to put in 7.4 divided by second function answer. And I find out that my hypotenuse is 9.63. Everybody agree with that? Okay. Now, if that's true, and it is, then I could find, I just used the sine, right? And what am I still looking for? I'm looking for my side adjacent, right? So what function would I use? One where I have something I have and something I'm looking for. The cosine. Let's use the cosine of this angle. Now we need to get the angle again, exactly. So I'm going to hit clear, and I'm going to hit second function tangent 1.2 to get the exact angle back into my calculator, 50.194, on and on and on. And I'm going to take the cosine of that by hitting cosine, second function, answer, enter, and I get 0.6401844, and on and on and on, right? So the cosine (64018) and on, and that's equal to what? A over H, right? Oh hell, another hour. Which one of those do I know? I know the A. No? I know the hypotenuse? I know both. Oh, so I've taken a function that I don't need. I'm looking for the side adjacent. Isn't B the adjacent? I'm looking at angle A. And I'm looking for B, which is side adjacent. So I could use the hypotenuse, right? I could use the hypotenuse, and we found it out, right? 9.63. Okay. So if we did that, now then we're depending on a number we found. Maybe we shouldn't do that. Maybe we should use the tangent. Okay, let's do that. Because now we're using a number we're not dead sure of, right? Okay, so let's go back to our angle. Second function tangent, 1.2. We get back to our 50.19 degrees. And let's take the tangent of that. Oh, wait a minute, that's 1.2. We knew that to begin with. Okay, let's take that. 1.2 is the tangent. That's equal to, oh hell, another hour of agony, right? And we know one of those, we were given one of those, right? The side opposite, which is 7.4 over A, is equal to 1.2. So all we have to do is exchange the A and the 1.2. So we have 7.4 divided by 1.2, and we find that it's 6.16, right? Is that correct? So this B right here did ask us for that, didn't it? 6.16. So we found everything we could find on that, right? Okay. Now, love that feature. Okay. Let's go to our fourth one. And we have, what are we given here? Side B is the side opposite of angle B, right? And we don't know which one we're going to look at, but if we flip this thing over, we would normally look at angle B, right? Okay, so we have B, which is 5,241. And we have side A, and that's 14,855. Now, if we look at this thing, we would call this the opposite, right? And this is the adjacent. So we're looking for the hypotenuse, among other things, and the angle. Well, that's not a big deal. What function do we have right now to find the angle? We have the opposite and we have the adjacent. Oh, hell, another hour of agony. The reason we need to say that is which one is on top, right? Of agony. So the opposite is on top. So a fraction of this thing is if we just put in 5,241 divided by 14,855, we get 0.35. So the tangent of this thing is equal to 0.3528 and on and on. We'd kind of like to know the angle, wouldn't we? So we just go second function tangent, second function answer, and it says 19.433 degrees. So that's angle B. Oops, 19, not 14, 19. Okay, and we can find angle A just by subtracting 90 from that, or not, subtracting that from 90. But let's look at side C. What side C? That is the hypotenuse. We can use sine or cosine to find it, right? And what is your pleasure? You want to do sine, okay. Let's take the sine, second function answer, and it says the sine of this angle is 0.3327, and that's equal to, oh hell. And we have the side opposite, we're given that. So we're going to take this out, and we're going to put in 5,241 divided by h. Okay, we're going to exchange these once again. We're going to exchange h, and we're going to exchange this. So we're going to wind up with 5,241. So I'm just going to plug in 5,241 divided by second function answer, which is our sine of that angle. And it tells us that the hypotenuse is 1565.925. So 1565.9. Now let's take our other angle, and we're just going to say that 90 minus 19.433 is 70.567. And we could probably just stop at 70.5 degrees. Okay. Everybody with me? Have we got the right answers in all the places? I'm sure you do. Well, you should. Okay. Well, that's as low as it's going to go. No, it's not. All right. Okay, and then we'll start drawing on it. Okay, so our last problem, have we gotten the first four now? So our last problem is what that means, but okay. The last one is actually a lot simpler than it looks. It says that the sine of angle A is 0.7071. Now, there's only one angle that has that sine or cosine, because it doesn't matter whether you take the sine or the cosine of 45 degrees, you get 45 degrees. So if you go second function sine 0.7071 and then that big long a little more number, but it'll come out to, if you just go 7071, you'll actually come out to 44.999999 degrees. We'll call it 45 just for the fun of it. Okay? Now, let's say that angle A is 45 degrees. Angle B is 45 degrees. Now we know that the sine of angle A is 0.707. So what is side C is 25 times the tangent of angle B. What's a tangent of 45 degrees? 1. Okay, so we know that the hypotenuse is 25. Okay? So we know that the sine or the cosine, doesn't matter, is 7.7071, right? You want to use sine or cosine, doesn't matter, right? Let's say the cosine, I favor the cosine, sorry, is equal to another hour, right? What is our side adjacent? That's what we're looking for. Our hypotenuse is 25. Everybody see that? So now we just need to multiply both sides by 25. So side B or side A is 25 times 0.7071, which is 16? No. I'm looking at the wrong side. 17.677. That's it. 17.677. And so is side B. And side C, wait a minute, that's given. Why is he asking that? Okay. All right. So there's the worksheet. There's a review of it. And thank you for playing along.